Hey everyone, it's Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And today we have a top 15 business growth expert, a top 41 motivational sales speaker, and a top 10 sales and leadership trainer, Meridith Elliott Powell.
Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, and welcome to the Massimo Show. The objective of the Massimo Show is to share how you can maximize your personal, professional margin. That's right. Let's make more money in less time. Let's turn chaos into clarity, confusion into confidence, and income into real wealth. Along with sharing my insight on how I grew a multi-million-dollar professional business, we're going to bring you the expert advice from a variety of authors, consultants, and thought leaders who will provide the tools you need to maximize your own personal and professional margin. Welcome to the Massimo Show.
Welcome to the Massimo Show.
Thank you. I am looking forward to being here.
We're pumped to have you here because we're in uncertain times. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to figure out, and you're going to help my audience how they can thrive in these uncertain times. Before we do that, we always do one question, which I didn't tell you I was going to ask. And as we all want to know, where did it all start? So I want you to take me back to high school, Meridith. Where were you living? What were you doing? What was your passion?
Oh, wow. I got to go way back to high school. But I grew up in a little town called Uniontown, Pennsylvania. I grew up in coal mining country. And I was not one of those kids who had a clue what she was going to do with her life. So I have always gotten my education by working. I got through college by the skin of my teeth, from Penn State University to the University of South Carolina. But it is really, I learned sales and leadership far more from waiting tables and the 2 or 3 jobs I had to take on to pay the bills. My very first job was in public relations for a chamber of commerce. And from there, I went into banking and healthcare, and ultimately launched out on my own.
Okay. And then our listeners are all launching out or thinking of launching out on their own. So when you launched out on your own, what was the vision of what you were going to create?
Yeah, I launched out on my own when I crossed my 40th birthday. And I loved 40 because it was such a great age. When you're 40, you're old enough to be taken seriously. I felt like I had enough notches on my belt, but it was young enough that if things didn't work out, I was probably still employable. But really, all I wanted to do was, I figured out by the age of 40 that I really liked business when it was in times of turmoil. I'd gotten into travel and tourism when they'd gone through a hurricane. I got into healthcare when they'd gone through cutback from the government. And I got into banking when in the financial services, when regulation was really coming into play. So I figured out, my vision became, I wanted to help businesses navigate how to not only go through change, but motivate their teams to go through change and actually see change as opportunity rather than obstacle.
Wow. Okay. Significant background going through cycles and change. And now you're consulting with firms and companies in regards to how to deal with these opportunities, because they are opportunities. Now you have this new book that's on the precipice, and it's called Thrive: Strategies to Turn Uncertainty to Competitive Advantage. Wow, what a time for this book. Take me through it. What's the book? Tell me why this book and why is it so applicable now?
Here's the funny thing about this book is, so how lucky am I that my passion is helping organizations navigate change successfully. And we just keep getting change on another level of steroids. But a couple of years ago, and I can imagine everybody listening to this podcast can relate. If you go back to 2018, 2019, do you remember how good the economy was? You just basically opened your doors and business rolled in. I was asking my clients, just like everybody does, tell me how business is going. And everybody responded the same. Business is good. Business is great. In fact, we are having our best year on record, but oh, this uncertainty, as if we were all relishing how good the economy was, but we were waiting for the ball to drop, for the bottom to fall out. And it just got me thinking, like, why does uncertainty always have to be a bad thing? Why does it have to be a negative? And what would happen if your business if you started to see it as opportunity, if you actually believed that uncertainty was the disruption you needed to take your business to the next level. And that put me on a mission to try to find companies that had done that. And let me tell you, there aren't many, but I discovered 9 that have been in business since the late 1700s, early 1900s, and they're still in business thriving today. And what that meant was they'd come through economic depression, they'd come through world wars. And I didn't realize it, but they'd even survived a pandemic. And from there, I built a 9-step formula of what it takes to not only navigate change at any level, whether that's the competitor across the street or it's a pandemic. What you need to do, if you do these strategies, you do them in order and you do them consistently, you are going to see uncertainty catapult your company and your business to another level.
Oh my, it sounds like this is it's beyond the book. This is a study. This is an approach that everyone needs to consume. So when's the book coming out?
Yeah, it's great timing because I just spoke with my publisher today and I'm going to have the first copies in my hot little hands within the next 2 weeks. And we're going to look to officially launch in April, but everybody can pre-order now. And you are so right. I'm so passionate about this book because I am seeing it work with companies that are small. I'm seeing it work with companies that are large. I'm seeing it work no matter the industry you're in, the products you sell, or the adversity you're facing. This strategy works.
Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And oh boy, am I pumped. My new book, Knowing Isn't Doing, well, when it launched, it hit #1. That's right. Top selling sales book in the entire country on Amazon.com. We're so excited to share many of our proprietary Massimo methods to allow our readers to start finally building that business and the life they've always desired. To get your own copy or learn more, visit www.knowingisn'tdoing.com. Okay, so you're going to outline a 9-step sequential formula for thriving in uncertainty. Now, we're not going to give it away because we want people to buy the book, obviously, and we can't do it all in the capacity of a podcast. But for those that are right now biting their tongue, saying, I need the first step. Can you give us a hint what that first step might be?
I'm actually going to give you step number 2. And the reason I'm going to give you step number 2 is because it's my favorite step. I also, if I give you step number 2, I'm going to bait you enough to realize step number 2 won't work if you don't have step number 1. So you have to go back and get step number 1. But step number 2 is my absolute favorite. And it is the fact that here's the thing, even the experts, the change gurus tell us that we need to navigate change. We need to be good at change. We need to react to change. But in an uncertain marketplace, if you are reacting to change, even if you're reacting to it flawlessly, you're already behind. You already lost. So strategy number 2 is that you need to condition yourself for change. And what I mean by that is change can be your greatest opportunity if you see it coming. If you wait for change to happen in an uncertain marketplace, it will bury you. And change is like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you think about it, the more you talk about it, the better conditioned you are going to be for change. So you have to start to anticipate the changes coming in the marketplace. So everybody get a pen and a piece of paper because I'm going to give you a tool that I want you to use that if you start using it immediately, it is going to make great change emotionally and tactily in your business. The tool is called a SKEPTIC. And every quarter, I want you to take 30 minutes and I want you to look outside of your business because there is more happening externally in your business than internally that's going to impact your success in an uncertain marketplace. So here's the tool. It's called a SKEPTIC. Write these words down. Society, competition, economics, politics, technology, industry, customers. I'll repeat it. Society, economics, politics, technology, industry, and customers. And just brainstorm, what do you see happening outside of your business as it relates to those words? And as you do that, you'll start to anticipate the changes that are coming in the marketplace. You'll start to create a team that feels empowered by change rather than disempowered buy it. This is the difference between Netflix and Blockbuster. Blockbuster believed that the only change they had to pay attention to was inside the company. Netflix is a company that keeps looking outside and is changing before they have to. So condition yourself for change. Start controlling change rather than change controlling you.
I love it. So for those who aren't as running down while you're driving, I'm going to give you the skeptic again. Society, competition, economics, politics, technology, industry, and last is customers. So I love that. I love that all. Now, Meredith, tell us, how long have you been an entrepreneur and running your own business? How long has it been now?
It has been over 20 years. So I launched out on my own. I was exactly 38 years old, just getting close to my 40th birthday. And I knew that was the time. So I've been at this about 20 years now.
Okay. First and foremost, congratulations. Any entrepreneur that has a sustainable business and has gone through fluctuations over the last 20 years, that is phenomenal. And you and I are the same age based on the formula you just shared with me. So I can tell you in some challenging times. But what people want to know is there's got to be a formula for success. And we always look at, and here's how I'm going to close this out. And there are going to be 5 P's I'm going to ask you about so you can share with your audience how you currently run your business. So are you ready?
I'd love to do this.
Okay, we're going to go with 5 P's. First is productivity. What does a day in a life look like for you so you're as efficient as possible?
Yeah, so I am very structured with my day because I have it very focused on productivity. I get up first thing in the morning, and the very first thing I do is I meditate, and then I read my goals. I have my vision cards and my goal cards, which you'll understand more about when you understand the formula. The very next thing I do is I make a couple of sales calls. Maybe if it's really early, I might send an email or two, or I'll at least get the information down of who I'm going to call to generate revenue that day. Then I write for an hour. Writing is a very big part of my business, and I need to do those things when I'm fresh and when I'm on the ball. Then I stop everything I'm doing and I go and I exercise. I'm a big believer in if I do 30 minutes in the morning, I'll do 30 minutes at the end of the day. So health is really important to me, and I make sure I get at least an hour in every day. The rest of the day is pretty much structured out in client-facing time, things that are revenue generating. But I can add to that, I color code my calendar, and my calendar is color coded into green is anything that's revenue generating. Red is anything that's transforming and taking my business to the next level. Everything else gets the color peach, which means I'm wasting my time. And my goal is to have most of my week at least over 50% in green, another 30% in red, and the balance of that in peach.
Okay, so Matt, that's awesome. I heard you refer to some prospecting time. So share with us how you prospect. How do you ask for business?
So first thing every morning, as I said, I make 2 calls every day. I reach out. And I usually use a combination of asking for business, of reaching out via phone call and leaving a voice message. Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell. I work quite a bit in your industry. Would love to learn more about you. Please don't worry about calling me back. I'm going to follow up with an email. I get credit for the energy that I put into the voicemail, but they tend to respond to an email. And I use a lot of social proof. I tend to focus on certain industries and use a testimonial from somebody else I've worked in that industry to get the door open with a cold contact.
I love it. I love that approach. I hope everyone heard that. If you have to, go back and listen to this again. That was a beautiful prospecting approach. So let's talk about the prospecting is sales. So in our world, presence is marketing. So how do you market yourself? What platforms, or just tell us how you do it? How do you market yourself?
All right, with presence, I've really focused on LinkedIn. I used to be on all the social media platforms, but I realized that my audience is on LinkedIn and I need to maximize my time. I've gone strong with video this year because I realized if I can get my personality out there, if I can get my thoughts out there, I can really attract my audience. I also do a podcast every week that goes live across YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But I really think the most powerful thing that I've done is every quarter I survey my clientele, my ideal clients, to make sure that I understand what their problems are and what language they're using to describe their problems. Those are the blogs that I write about, the videos that I shoot speak to exactly the language that my customers and prospects are looking for.
Perfect. Let's talk about your team. We call that the fourth P, and that being partners, virtual, full-time, part-time. Tell us about your team.
I've got one full-time, which is my executive assistant. Everybody else works part-time for me. I've got two secondary assistants. One handles all my social media. Another handles all my technology support. I've got a web developer. I've got a publisher. I've got a PR person. And then I've got a technology expert who basically handles me 24/7. Should my computer or anything go down, I can text him and he will have me back up online very quickly.
Okay. And last but not least, tell me about platforms, software tools that you can't live without and help you do what you do.
I can't live without my scheduler, Book Like a Boss. I can't live without Trello. That is how I communicate and I interact with my team. I can't live without my CRM, which is Zoho One. That's how I use it. It has all my documents in there, from DocuSign to my survey creators to things like that. The biggest thing I can't live without right now is my Vidyard and anything that I do video. As I look into 2021, what I am looking to do from a video standpoint is just really going to another level.
I love it. Meridith Elliott Powell, which is same with the 5 Ps. So thank you for that. We're so excited to get our hands on Thrive in April and understanding those strategies to turn uncertainty into competitive advantage. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Massimo Show.
Thank you. And I'll make sure you get a signed copy as soon as it comes out.
Okay, for everyone else, Meredith shared you so much information. Just think about what she shared in regards to how she runs her business. But as we always say, knowing isn't doing. So go out and do. Until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with The Massimo Show. I want to thank you for listening to this version of The Massimo Show. And please go out and share this with your friends, your colleagues. Heck, share it with your dog. Just share it. And more importantly, just give me some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We all grow from understanding what our audience wants to hear. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with The Massimo Show. Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Group. And did you know over the last 12 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners in helping them achieve the business and the life that they've always desired. To learn more how we could possibly help you achieve your goals, please visit www.massimo.coach. That's www.massimo.coach.